It is the 22nd of May, and I thought on this video we would go around all the crops and see what's doing well, see what's doing not so well. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time in each area, but we are going to try and get around everything, have a little look at everything. We've got the drone with us. I won't be able to walk through everything. I'm obviously stood in a bit of a wet hole here from the winter, but we're going to start off down the farm. Jessie, I got the dog with me. Come here, come here. Say hello, sit. Stay there. There we go. We got Jessie with us today. She's going to come out for a nice walk all day. She's going to love that. We're at the farm and we're over at the winter wheat. I thought we'd select some different places to stand because I'm always showing you the same fields. So, and I know the farmer has just been down here just yesterday, and he's been spraying these for rust. So if we have a little look at the crop here, you can see a brown tinge over this one. This is the worst of the winter wheat that we have here. There's another little hole here. You know, things aren't perfect overall throughout everything. The wheat's actually coming out in here, I can see. But the little brown tinge, let's get into it. And it's every farmer's worst nightmare, and it never ever shows its face until this sort of time. And it's the dreaded, let me pull some of these out. It's the dreaded blackgrass. This is not what we want to see. This is why we use pre-emergence. When we planted this, we got it all rolled down, we got the pre-emergence on, and still you end up with blackgrass. It's one end to the other on this one. But there's nothing you can do now. That's it. That's the way it is. It'll probably have to go into spring cropping next year to try and control some of the plants that grow after this. It's something that we all try and control. Farmer did tell me this is one of our worst fields for it. So, but let's have a little look at the wheat plant. Let's just pull an ear out. That top leaf there, the very top one, that's called the flag leaf, and they say that you want to look after that leaf. So you can see it's curled up a little bit there. Usually a sign of curling on the leaves is dry, which it has been for a long time. It is just started to come back. The last couple of weeks we've had getting on for an inch of rain, I think, so it has recovered, but for the last 3 weeks we've had no rain. So curling of the leaves is a sign of stress. Also with wheat you get something called yellow rust on different types of varieties. I can't remember the varieties of each one, but the leaves will go yellow and it spreads throughout the crop so fast. You got to stay on top of it. Farmers forever spraying for yellow rust. A little bit of disease on the end there. But the flag leaf, they say, is the one you want to look after. It's the one you want to keep healthiest. So you want to try and keep that disease free, and that's where all your yield comes from apparently. But let's have a little strip this down because the head is just starting to appear. So yeah, overall we're happy with the winter wheat here. Bloody hell, dog looks like a bloody raptor running through the jungle. Hey, what are you doing? Overall we're happy here. We're going to take the drone over, we'll have a little fly over. We had a patch over there where the drill did a miss. You've probably seen that, but I think it has caught up. I'll have to speak to the farmer about that because I don't know what we're going to do with that. It's terrible, no other word for it. Last year we actually went and it's not as bad as it was in places last year. Last year we just literally had patches of, and it was crops of blackgrass is what it was, and we went out with the topper and topped it off. Look, we're going to go and look at the spring wheat, the other side of the farm there. We've got Timothy grass in these fields. That's growing really well. Everything's just took off this week. Everything is just steaming away, and we were a bit worried there because 3 weeks no rain. The crops were literally, everything was struggling, everything. So luckily enough we have had some rain now and things are getting away. Blackgrass is a problem here. Don't know what the solution there is. It's a constant battle, the farmer tells me, with that. Just spent the last hour trying to get the drone to work, but apparently if you upgrade your phone, if you update your phone, then the app stops working. So I can't use that. That's a bit of a pain in the butt, but we'll get that sorted another time. We're over at the spring wheat. You can see this yellow part here. and then it's starting to go dark green, and it's just where the crop has now soaked up the nitrogen and it's starting to get going. There isn't going to be record-breaking crops out here for spring crops, but we were worried that if it didn't rain, I'm trying not to step on the crop, we were worried if it didn't rain we weren't going to have very much at all, because if you go back a couple of years, we had a drought for 6 weeks and well, there was nothing there. We had 1 ton crops across the board on the spring crops. That is a tram line up there. We always look in the tram lines to see whether there's any weeds growing. I don't think we put any pre-emergent on this, so and it wouldn't have mattered anyway because it didn't rain. And it is starting to tiller out. Let's take one of these plants. There's only 2 tillers on that one. Oh no, 3, sorry. It's just starting to sprout another one. So yeah, you're not going to break any records with it, I don't think. But there's a crop there. But it's changing by the day, and it's looking a lot healthier now. Now there's been a bit of rain, it's all thickened up and it's getting away and it's getting going. So we're pretty pleased with it considering the weather we've had. So yeah, that's the spring wheat. Let's do some predictions then. I'm going to go winter wheat at our farm. I'm going to go 3 ton. 3 ton to the acre off the combine. That's what I'm going to go with our wheat. The spring wheat, it's hard to judge this because I'm not an expert at crops or anything like that. But let's say, I think I'm going to predict, looking at it, 2 ton. If we get any more than that, we'd be super happy. And that's average. Let's go for averages. 2 ton average over the whole lot. I think we'd be happy with that. That's my prediction on that. Let's go. We're going to have a look at the barley. I could have chosen anywhere. We've got 3 fields you can see right below me there. We've got one this side, barley. We've also got spring barley. It is, sorry. We've also got 1, 2, 3 others. 2 rented ones and one of our own a bit further on down. But yeah, farmer was a little bit disappointed, he said, really, with the barley. Look at this, look. Peter, what are you doing, mate? You've got to drill it all. He's putting the blame on me for that one because I harrowed it the same way he was drilling and he couldn't see his mark. Anyway, this is I think it's some of the best of the spring barley that we got up here, the farmer said. But he was wondering whether we were doing a bit of damage with the power harrow, sort of smearing the top. You've got to remember that our farm isn't a high yielding farm at all. It's not going to set any records anywhere across the board. It's very heavy clay soils. We've been having work. I think the farmer said he was talking to the agronomist, and our agronomist does various different farms, different soil types, and he did say we weren't too far away with what we were doing on our types of soil. So but having said that, we were wondering about, we have got one field, the furthest one down across the motorway there, that we springtimed. We pulled up with the springtines and I thought it did a lovely job. Peter said it drilled evil. He wasn't a fan of drilling it, and because he wasn't on GPS, he couldn't see his mark very well either. But we're wondering whether, and it'll be a good test because everything had the same sort of treatment. Peter got to it a day later maybe, but we're wondering whether it's going to show up any difference in yield. We're wondering whether a set of spring tines and putting Peter's tractor on GPS would make a difference, instead of, because the power harrow, you see, it mashes everything down and leaves everything on top quite loose, but underneath there is compaction there, especially where the tyres are. It's a heavy machine. We're wondering whether we're smearing the top and doing some damage, but come harvest we'll know something. We'll know whether that one's good. The farmer says on the better soils there's no issues, things are looking as they should. you know, where the soils aren't so good, it's a little bit thinner, but to me it doesn't look too bad. Even driving past the fields there, I don't know, I'll have a little prediction on it. We'll say 2 ton to the acre easy on the barley, and I think it'll probably do 2 1/4 maybe, considering the weather and everything else, and the weather has the biggest part. This time last May, I believe most of our crops were yellow due to wet, and it absolutely devastated the entire spring crops. It devastated them. So we're miles ahead of where we were last year, and the year before that we had a massive drought. You can't control these things. It is what it is. So spring barley not looking too bad for us. We're going to head over to Alistair's next, and we're going to look. He's got oats over there, spring oats and winter wheat over there. So now we are down at Alistair's farm, and this was yeah, we drilled this one. Originally it was going to go into grass, so we got the seed bed ultra fine, and then there was a change of plan, and I don't know what the reasons were, but it went into winter wheat instead. As you can see right where I'm standing, literally a straight line all the way down. This always stands wet, so when it gets wet, it's always wet here. Overall, I don't think it. I know it's a little bit thin here, but as you get across the field, it does get better. Let's just walk up a tram line for a little bit. Wasn't really worth pulling up and starting again with it, because I think overall there's probably 2/3 of a field here that is going to be okay. It's going to bring the average yield down at this farm, no doubt about it. You can't get away from that. But yeah, as you get literally from this point onwards, it gets better. I don't think it looks as well as the others, but it's certainly not worth ripping up and spending loads more diesel and putting more seeds in the ground, and yeah, you won't get your money back, that's for sure. So just move fields a little bit. We're just coming through one of the one of the better fields. This is one of the bigger fields as well, and this to me just screams 3 ton all day long. I mean, it's all uniform. I think, like ours back at home, ours is a little bit earlier than this, so the ears are still inside. So it's all about looking after this top flag leaf again, making sure there's no disease on there, and yeah, that's where all your yield comes from. So it's you've got to stay on top of it. There are some small little areas of blackgrass, as you can see, but it's nothing to worry about. There are just tiny little dibs and dabs of it. And as we all know, it's a right pain in the butt to keep on top of, but overall I think it's going to do all right. Field behind me looks really good as well. The 2 others look really good. It's just that one we were just in that lets it down a little bit. It might even surprise us. It might average 3 ton to the acre, even with the one that's not so good. So yeah, be interesting to see. Some of the ears are just coming out. Look, they are just starting to show their face a little bit. And they feel nice and big. Christ, yeah. So we just wait and see what happens with this one. This one field in particular here, there's a few dotted round up here. I have a problem with these, which are called docks. When they go to seed, they have thousands and thousands of little tiny seeds that just spread everywhere. You find them in your grasses, and you could leave them, but it makes your hay look terrible. And one thing we try and pride ourselves at our farm, because we're a hay, you know, we're predominantly hay and straw. I know we do a bit of arable as well, but we're predominantly hay and straw. But what we are always after is quality. So although it's expensive to use the chemical to kill them, we don't really mess about. If we've got enough to warrant doing, if there's just one dotted in a field, we don't touch it. But if there's, you know, like this area, there's docks everywhere, you see, and you shove them in a bale and they go all orange and they stick out like a sore thumb. So we try and get rid of them if we've got a problem with them. This field in particular has been hit. I think we sprayed it the last 3 or 4 years now. Yeah, quite bad for docks, this one. And while he was here, there was some docks littered about as he goes over that way, which is another landowner of ours. So he's done the lot. But I can see, this is what I wanted to come and see. I wanted to see that the leaves were curling over. You know, you can see they're not doing very well. They're dying, basically. You sprayed them with Doc Star, and it's the only thing that kills them. I don't think Roundup kills them. Anyway, that's doing a job on those. That's what we wanted to see, and that's good. We've now crossed the motorway, and we're at the other side of Alice's. And this side we planted spring oats. Farmer always says oats can be a bit deceiving because they're a bit of a show-off. They got broad leaves and they can sometimes look better than they are, but he did say they look pretty well out here. He was quite happy with them. There's one field at the top there which is a little bit drier. He said that one's a little bit thinner, but overall he said he was pretty pleased with them. Now, when you're guessing yields for spring oats, I don't even know where to start. Well, they're light. They're usually light. You know, if you can get heavy oats, then you're winning. You're laughing, because that's the trick to oats. It's trying to get the grain weight. Usually they can come up a little bit light, but overall everything looks pretty similar overall. I can see little areas just coming into the nitrogen, obviously just picking up the nitrogen where these lush bits here have already picked it up, and it's just where we've had the rain in the last couple of weeks. It's all starting to bump away and get growing. Weather like this, it's 20 degrees today, it's perfect growing weather, sunshine, warm, and look at the ground now, nice and moist, plenty of moisture there, so it's just ideal growing conditions at the moment. Whether it's too late or not, I don't know. It would have hurt yields, certainly it would have hurt the plants tillering, so I don't know what to say about guessing the average on this one, but I don't know, let's have a little guess. If we get close to 2 tons, I think they would be happy, but I think you're probably looking, because the grain weight and all the rest of it, I think, I don't know, 1.5 to 1.1.5 to 1 3/4 ton to the acre. That's what I'm going to guess at. We'll get all these off Peter when he combines it all. I'll get him to write down all the averages, and yeah, we'll see how close we were. Now, things can always change, even now. If it became silly wet again, and it did happen, it happened last year, it could change things all over. You're left to the weather you've got, so let's just see what happens. It's nice up here, it's just the motorway ruins everything. We're now over at Peter's farm, and don't get confused with our Peter. It's a different Peter. It's the farm owner here, and this farm is it's just so quiet. So to me it's the nicest farm that we do. It's just sheer bliss out here. You can't hear the motorway, you can't hear anything. It's lovely, and everything here this time is spring barley. It was the last to get drilled, and it went ever so dry. Soil type up here is the heaviest clay soils you've ever set your eyes on. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Me and Pete was digging a water pipe in one of the fields a couple of years ago, and I kid you not, it is clay right the way down there. It's just unbelievable, and it is. And when I say pottery, remember when you used to do pottery at school? It is that sort of clay. It is horrible. It does grow things, obviously, and I can see on the hill in the far distance there, you probably won't be able to see it, I'll zoom in on my camera. There was a man there, and I was rolling out here while at the same time he was drilling that field, and I can see, and this is just weather as well, they've had the dry spout, and because he's up on the bank there, I can see the brown soil in this crop from here. So you know, and we don't like seeing that. It doesn't matter who it is, nobody likes to see bad crops or anything like that. It's a bit of a shame, but you are at your oh, dog's gone. Look. Will she catch a rabbit? No way. But, good bit of sport. Rabbit hiding in the thing. Let's have a little look at the barley here. Now, they have only just started taking up the nitrogen. I can still see little yellow stripes in the field, so it is only just taking up nitrogen. You know, it's still, even with the rain that we've had, it's still on top. It is still going back to powder again. I can feel moisture, you know, once you start digging, I can feel moisture down there, so there is still a bit of moisture there. I think we're getting some secondary growth here as well. Let me just check what this is, because this looks like a fresh plant to me. Now that, to me, is a bit of secondary growth. Yeah, so what we've got going on here, look, is some fresh barley seeds that have only just started growing. Now that's a bit of a problem. It won't be a massive problem all over, but what it does is come harvest, because it's so far behind, what you're left with then is a mixed tank, and it can throw off the combine's moisture meter, because you got green seeds versus ripe seeds, and it pushes the moisture right up. But this is one of the problems you can have when you're spring cropping, you see. If you don't catch a good rain to get everything going in one go, and I can see it throughout everything here. There's small plants all over. Small plants. And it looks very similar all over. I do want to just check where Keithy's combination drill went, because that came out of the ground a little bit slower than everything else. But I don't know, yields wise, look at this. There's thin little patches in there as well. So I don't know. The top field looks the best. That's a good field. And some of these little ones, I mean, nothing looks terrible. There's right, I don't know. Predictions: 2 ton to the acre. It's not going to be record breaking again, but I reckon 2 ton to the acre. I don't know. Like I said, what do you think? You tell me in the comments. What do you think it looks like? And this is pretty much an average of over everything, so you can pretty much I just want to check the field over that way before we leave, but most of the fields look like this one. We're going to head over to Mick's farm, then we're going to head to Jackie's, and then we are going to head to Jim's. And there'll be some fields that we miss out in between there, but otherwise we will be out here all day doing it. Right, so I'm just looking across this one that Keithy put in with the combi drill, and it looks very, very good. Yeah, it's going to be interesting when this one shows up on the combine, because we have seen in the past the combi drill not yielding quite so well against our tine drill in certain conditions. So it will be quite something to see this time, because I think it looks to me like at least 2 ton, or maybe a little bit more in this field, and this is the one Keithy drilled with that big combination drill. So yeah, it looks very well. Wow, oh my god. So we're over at Mick's farm now, and we didn't plant massive amounts of acres here, but this went into winter wheat as well over here, and it looks fantastic from where I'm stood. This is a winter wheat, and I literally haven't been here since we planted it, since I rolled it, and then that was the last time I've been up here. But farmer's been up spraying it for disease and all the rest of it, but oh man, it looks really well. It stands nice. It's standing quite nice and tall. The ears are just coming out. Big ears on it. Big ears. That's what I used to get called at school. The ears look very well. The corn size looks very well. I'm really impressed. This looks much better than what we got back at home. We'll see how it compares to the wheat over at Jim's, but it looks very well. And the farmer I'm not going to go walk across everything. We've got one more field there. We've got one field at the top there, and we've got one right out the back of his house there. I'm not going to go wandering around all of them. Farmer tells me they're all pretty much very the same, apart from the one at the top, and that one is a tiny bit thinner, but he says it's still going to be all right. So yeah, wow, that's Peter's. We've had it in the past where the wheat doesn't do so well up here, but it looks like it's going to do. It looks fantastic. I can't believe the ear size is on there. There's going to be some corn in there. Whew. That's good. That's very good. even in, we're stood on a tram line here as well, and you really shouldn't look at a crop when you're stood in a tram line. You should get right out in the middle. It's where compaction is going to be least. But I can just see it's very good. The flag leaf on these just curled over a little bit. Looks like I don't know. I think it looks like farmer's been through it and sprayed it, so he may have sprayed it for disease or something like that already. I'm going to put it at 3 1/4. If we do an average, I'm going to put it at 3 ton because farmer said one of the fields is a little bit thinner, so that'll probably knock the average back down to about 3 ton all over. But hey, that'll be well, it'll be very good. Yeah. What do you think? Write it down. What do you reckon? This is Mick's farm, and farmer tells me, you know, it's pretty much this all over, apart from one of the fields which is a bit thinner. We're not going to go up there because this video is going to be getting on for already. We're over at Jackie's fields, and Jackie is the sister of the old man's wife. So yeah, she's Di's sister, and we rent these ones off her. And these are oats in here as well, and these were first planted. So we've got this one here, Jackie's, and then we've got Colin's. It leads on to Colin's fields, and it's all oats throughout, and we are really happy with the oats this time. Look at the plants. I mean, hugely, really nice and healthy, nice and bushy. I mean, they're going to be something else. These are. They've had longer in the field, so yeah, they're a little bit further ahead. But farmer's really happy with these, he tells me. I think down the other ends of these fields it's really wet. You know, there'll be some bad spots down there. But overall, throughout the oats this side, we're really happy. And I think they've all got to come back to the farm, so it's quite a trek back to the farm. And oats are bulky, so they fill up the trailers quick. So yeah, it might be a case of having 3 trailers on the go when we're up here. It's still a long way to go yet, you know. Believe it or not, this one, as good as it looks, is probably doesn't look as good as some of the others further on down, and they just look really well, really well. So really happy with the oats this time. I think I'm being mad, but let's say just over 2 1/4 ton to the acre. Let's say. I don't know if that's good for oats or not. I don't know. They're spring oats, so you tell me. Put in the comments if I'm being a madman for saying that. Put in the comments. What do you think? Write it in there. Farmer says they show off a bit because they're a bit leafy, but yeah, to me it looks well. It does look well. And this is the situation throughout Collins and thing. I just wanted to bring you here because I don't bring you to this field much. This is actually the one. This is the field where we have where Jackie puts on her ploughing match usually. We've had it in this field for the last few years, and she got one out the front there. That's oats, and this one's cut in half there, and then it leads on to Collins. Block of land after that, and that's all oats as well. So yeah, quite impressive really. I am impressed with that one. So we're now over at Jim's farm, and we're just walking into, right, this is the field that Peter drilled last of the beans. And do you remember we were spinning the wheels a bit because it was a little bit tender? But you know, if it would have stayed dry it would have probably been all right, but it didn't. It actually went wet again. And as you can see, the low spots in the field, yeah, it killed it all off. It's a bit dirty in here as well. You can see the weeds, but yeah, a bit disappointing this field, especially when you look over the way. But you know, it's not all, it's never ever going to be, you're never going to get it all right all of the time. All the other fields, which we'll go and take a look at in a minute, do look rather well. But this one, yeah, this is the worst one. Yeah. Yeah, nothing really to say about that. The wet got hold of it, and it was what it was. We didn't really want to put another crop in here, a different crop, because we didn't have it. Jim hasn't got another. Well, we probably could have. He probably would have found a space for it, but yeah, I've noticed though. Look across the board, all the little butterflies flying around. Look. And I'll show you a better field now. Right, so that's the worst of the beans anyway. And this field here, it used to be a grass field, and it didn't really matter too much if it got wet, because obviously you're growing grass and you harvest that when it's warm and dry anyway. But yeah, it's it gets wet, this one, and it used to have some big divots in there, and we filled them in, but yeah, nothing you can do. It's one of those wet fields. All the water from the town, you see, comes down behind there, and it just washes over here. Right, so let's go and look in a better field, and literally all the others are like this one. We feel like last year, because we had beans up here on the other side where the winter wheat is now, we feel like we didn't have them quite thick enough last year. So farmer adjusted the rate a little bit. I think he adjusted it by 50 kilos per hectare or acre, I don't know which one, but he adjusted the rate and we put a little bit better rate on, and you can see the beans are actually out in flower at the moment. See the white leaves and all of those white leaves, and there's even more at the top here, look, so there's even more to come yet. And each one of those is going to be a pod full of bean seeds. As they start going off, it looks like the field is just dead. The pods all go black, and yeah, they're a strange crop. But what we wanted to see, and last year, the pods, which it was a bit annoying. We didn't have a very good year for it. Farmer tells me all the time beans hate compaction, but all of these went into discorating, which is a low compaction tool, but it's not the same as ploughing. We always try and plough for beans, really. What is noticeable is the seeds are at the top of the plant this time, and last year the seeds were right down at the very base of the stem, which meant when the combine came through you actually ended up missing some. But I can just see, if we walk in a little bit, and there's bees flying around and butterflies and all sorts going on in here. One of the things that has plagued us a little bit, farmers been spraying them like mad, is these see all these little bite marks out of this leaf. It's the weevil beetle, and they hide in the middle of these curled up leaves. They're a tiny little bug. If you wait long enough you'd probably see one, and they come out and they chew on the leaves and they just knock the plant back a little bit. But they are getting away now. We're quite happy with them. We're quite happy with the coverage as well. The coverage looks a bit better. The most important thing is the seeds. I can see on almost all the plants they're nice and up. They're up off the ground. So hopefully, if they keep growing, they've got a little way to go yet. The seeds are going to be nice off the ground, so the combine can come through and pick them up. I think Peter's got some sort of kit he's got to put on the combine, because what happened last time? It's like a pre-filter before it gets to wipe out weed seeds and all the rest of it, and they give off this real nice sweet smelling smell. You can't beat it. Just I don't know, it's like not like candy floss, it's weird. It's like a leafy sweet smell, but yeah, it smells beautiful, and I think they look quite nice as well. But anyway, beans are looking good. Farmer's been looking after them. He's been out here spraying them and keeping that beetle at bay, and yeah, they're looking well. Look at that. I mean, each one of those should be a pod. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, right the way up to the top there, away from the dirt at the bottom. That's how we want to see them. They look very, very well. Different year to last year. We had a lot of frost that knocked our beans back last year, but yeah, you know, years go on. Years always different, isn't it? So, but yeah, relatively happy with the beans, apart from that one field there, which is pretty much a write-off looking at it. But hey ho, it's not always going to be the dream. Let's go and have a look at the wheat to finish off with, and that will probably do it for things. Beans are a hard one to predict. If you've got a ton to the acre, apparently that's not too bad. I think you want to be looking at 1.5 tons to the acre, and it does look half thick again. So let's go for it. Let's go for, I think last year's they yielded 1. About a tonne to the acre. Let's go for 1.5 tonne to the acre on the beans. This one's going to bring the average down, so that is a pain. If we didn't have that field planted, it would be 1.5 tonne, but when you've got to add that one in, let's say let's go 1.25 tonne to the acre on the beans. That's what I'm guessing. That'll I'm sure we'll see nearer the time. Let's go and have a look at the winter wheat. Just walking into some of this winter wheat over at Jim's. Just been driving around some of the fields, and yeah, a couple of the fields are pretty bad for the blackgrass, if I'm honest. There's a couple of spots, a couple of fields that are not brilliant in terms of, I can see a spot of blackgrass in this one over the bottom there. You see where it goes brown on top? It's just patches of blackgrass, but there is nothing you can do about it now. But overall, this one looks pretty clean. I mean, I would say 80% of that, 90% of that is it's lovely. Let's have a little look at the plant then. Let's have a look at the flea. The plants look ever so healthy, and the ears on them look like they're going to be pretty good. Look at the ear on that. Nice plump grain going in there. Farmer was telling me I think this is due one more dose of fertilizer, and it's just to try and get the protein up to try and get the if you get the protein to a certain level, you can then get milling quality, which is then made for your breads and everything else like that, your flours. So I think Keithy next job is to put another dose of fertilizer on here. And even the fields with blackgrass in them, they still look pretty good, but it's just the blackgrass. So you just always fighting the blackgrass. Yeah, what do you guys think? Apparently there's a brushy part up there where Farmer's been spraying. He said it's noticeably a little bit worse. There's that section over there that we when the drill had that mishap and stopped drilling, and we drilled it, I think, what did we do? We drilled it a couple of days later, and that fell massively behind. But it's all there. It's just yeah, it's not going to yield the same as this, but this looks brilliant. I'm going to still stick with my prediction on this one at 3.5 tonne to the acre, I reckon. What do you reckon, Jess? I think that's where we're going to leave it, because this is probably getting on for you guys. But yeah, it looks like we're going to have some half decent combinable crops this time. I'll talk to the farmer about these black grassy areas, what we can do to sort of tackle that. Yeah, I don't know. He's got some ideas in his head this time for putting beans on over winter and letting different ideas. We'll talk about it another day, but yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it. Beautiful day. There we go. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. That's a little look at the crops, and obviously we haven't been round to every single field, but yeah, it gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on and how things are progressing. Crops are growing at an alarming rate now. It's nice and warm. There's been a few showers of rain. Things are moving pretty quick, so the next time you probably see these, unless we're working around them, is yeah, when we come to harvest them. So it'll be interesting to see what our predictions come true like. Yeah, I'm going to say 3.5. I'm sure I said 3.5 when we were putting that scarecrow up over there. I'm sure I said 3.5 tonne to the acre. I'm going to stick with that, I reckon, on these. We'll see at the end. Peter will probably show me up and tell me I'm wrong, but there we go. Right, Jess, home time, dinner time. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.